Hello, this is Gene. I want to talk about a couple things that happened. I was going to make this like the alt-right topic of the week, but there's a little bit more than just one or two topics, so I'm going to go through them. I didn't watch the Golden Globes, and I'm assuming that what Oprah did is probably trending on Twitter. In fact, while I'm here, I want to take a look, and I know it is. I mean, because it seems to me that she started her campaign for the 2020 election. So let me go on my phone and just check real quick and go to YouTube. Oh, there it is. Here she is. She's tweeting. She's trending. And look at that's 460,000 views there, 400,000 views. And of course, there's also this thing with Tapper against Miller. That got 1.2 million views. So I think this is an interesting topic because nobody doesn't really think about what's going on in 2020. There's a really good chance that the Republicans are not going to hold on to both houses in the midterms. There's just too many people that are going to come out. And normally in the years between the elections, the presidential elections, there's usually this thing usually happens. It happened to Clinton. It happened to Obama, and I'm assuming that the Congress, the House of Representatives, is not going to go to the Democrats. That's not going to happen. But the Senate could, and if that happens, then it's very possible that some of the things that have actually happened under Trump will be stopped or will not be enforced. So right now he has probably about another 8-9 months that he has to get things across. The wall being very important of this all. So talking about Oprah, and a lot of people think that if she runs in 2020 that she's going to win because obviously a celebrity won and became president. And I think the Democrats really think that she will bring the base like Obama had and the young people. There's a difference, I think, with with Oprah, is I think they think that the young generation knows who Oprah is, and we've already been down this path where we have this. I'm a liberal, and I need to do something because people of color have never been representative as the president, let's say. And a lot of people that are white like myself did that with Obama, and we were basically sold a bill of goods that he never really did anything about. In fact, he inflamed the issue with race in this country. I'm going to be 100% true. I was a Democrat back then, still am. I'm still registered as a Democrat. But I do not remember the problems that we had with races, other than the fact that we knew that there was some sort of economic differences between the races. But there's this fervor underneath. People become more tribalistic, and they know that there's something on the way. There's this undercurrent in the minority community that they know eventually they're going to be the majority. And you can see that between the blacks and the Hispanics, because the Hispanics are going to end up being the majority in this country at some point unless things change. And this is what actually exacerbated the rise of the alt-right, or an identitarian movement in the United States when it comes to white people. So when you got this black, well-spoken, almost white female who spouts liberal values, although I don't think she really is. I think that she's more of a Republican when it comes to certain things. But she decided this was her platform based on the whole stuff that was going on in Hollywood with the sexual harassment, because we really need to talk about this. Again, this was another person coming out basically saying that women had no responsibility in any of this, that they weren't doing the kid pro quo type of thing, saying, I will give you my body so I can have that part. Now, is it right? No. But it's been something that's been going on since day one, that men have been normally in power, that women have learned ways to get themselves into power by manipulating or using their body. And it's something that's we've had since men and women walk together. And women still use it, and they're allowed to do it, and they still have no responsibility at any of this. There's a difference with somebody like Harvey Weinstein, who has all this power, which is true, and somebody who maybe raped somebody like Roland Polanski, who actually killed or raped a 13-year-old. And she gets up there and she talks about how the studios have been run by powerful men, that women, I guess, never had any agency in any of this stuff. And I think that we need to take a big back step on this. First of all, I can make the claim that most of the people that are being accused of this may look white, but they're Jewish. So if there's an issue, maybe we should talk about in the Jewish community that they don't take care of the women, I guess. Personally, I think it's more than that. I think that women need to be responsible for what they're doing as well. Almost all of these states take cases. These were consensual acts. Maybe he shouldn't or asked for certain things like that. There was this very famous MRA that came on Twitter last night saying that nobody wanted to talk about the actual rampant pedophilia that goes in Hollywood. We just want to stand up there. And these women all had agency to say no, and they didn't do it. And now they want to feel that they're the ones that are being virtuous by saying, hey, we got to stop it right now. When I said this in previous videos, these women knew the shit was going on. They used it. They became A-level celebrities and did nothing about it till it came out 30, 40 years later. They're not heroes to me, and I will never look at them as heroes. So when Oprah goes up there, and she's basically doing the same thing about he for she, that the men have to stand up, that we have to change how men are in this country, that it's usually white men that are doing this to everybody else in this very small secular community called Hollywood. How they compare us to the normal man that's walking the streets doing the jobs that women will not do. So this is clearly her first salvo to get into this and see how that comes from that. She's going to be marketed to run in 2020 if she's around. And people on the alt-right, or those who support the alt-right, need to get more and more involved with the younger generations to stop this from happening. Not just because she's a black woman. There's no issue about that. People continually think that the alt-right has this problem against black people. It's not what that is. It's basically to the preservation of the white race or white culture or anything like that. And we see what's happening, and we want to stop it from taking us all away. Her policies are more liberal, like Obama's, and it'll hurt the white people in the United States. That's basically what I'm saying. So this idea that they think Oprah is going to galvanize the youth, I think that they're going to play their cards here wrong. The problem is that she may get enough of the woman's vote, because Trump won 53 of the white married women, and I think that if Oprah wins, that she has a chance to take that, because women will be swayed by her, saying that she knows what she's doing because she's a nice person, all that stuff. And I don't really know. This is a person that never did anything. I mean, she does stuff. She gives people shit, but I don't have any trust of a female who never reproduces. I just don't get it, unless there's some sort of physically thing that she can't do it. If she doesn't want to raise her offspring, I don't know what that is. And she's not really, she put herself and her success above everything else just for herself, and she made so much fucking money that at some point in that whole journey that she could have kids, but she didn't have it. Whatever, it makes no sense to me, and I would not trust anybody to be in that position. If you're a female, obviously men can't reproduce yet, so I just think that the alt-right probably needs to think about that, and we do have some people who are young and all that stuff. There's going to be a huge war that's going to come on in probably 2019 that will push her to the forefront, and she's going to try to galvanize everybody together under their own coalition, and it's going to be her coalition, and it's going to be basically the globalists, the people of color. You'll probably have Merkel will come and do shit. I mean, it's going to happen because she's a world star, and people are going to come in. It's going to be celebrities against other celebrities, and I don't know if that's good or bad. So I think that Trump has a very important thing to do here with these 8 or 9 months before the midterms. He has to get the wall started. He has to do something with DACA, and if he does that, he'll probably keep his base. But it may not be enough. It just may not be enough. She might be able to get more, and she might flip off some of the Rust Belt states, especially like Pennsylvania. There might be more people that'll come out. People of color. Obviously, Michigan, the same thing can happen. They'll have no reason to go to the. They didn't really have any reason to go to the polls. They still came out for Clinton, but they'll do more. But the difference is too, you're going to have a lot of black people are going to say that she sold out too. So anyway, other than that, some of the other topics was we could talk about Tapper and Miller. I think Miller is a Jew, so well, whatever. He defended the president. The president. There was something in the books that were probably not accurate. I'm going to be 100% true here. I thought that Trump basically ran as a laugh, and I didn't think till the end. I don't think he actually thought he was going to win. So there's something in the book that talks about that, and that doesn't shock me at all. He probably think he wasn't going to win, but he's the type of guy that once he becomes responsible, that he's going to go and do as best as he can. And people can talk about what he does on Twitter and stuff like that. I don't care about that. I really don't. I mean, it's an issue in my house. My wife is very upset about that all the time. But whatever. It's just one of those things. I also want to talk about the live stream that happened with Warsky and JF and Autonomous Hypothesis and Sticks. That was last night. I'm not talking about the Richard Spencer. Now, this Richard Spencer and Sargon, they were basically reviewing that, and they had other items that they talked about. And I watched some of the snippets from that first debate, and I thought that Spencer pretty much wiped the floor with Sargon, and Sticks came in and did very well from his civic nationalist libertarian stuff. That he's very well spoken, and he did that last night. And I was sitting there listening, like, I can understand why a lot of people will follow along with somebody like him, and why it's very hard for the alt-right to be a populist with a lot of people behind it, because he's very articulate what he has to say, and you think, oh, this is the right way of doing it. That I was just watching at CNN, just came up while I was doing this, and it said that Oprah Winfrey is now considering running. So I hate to be right. I mean, I thought everybody knows this anyway, but watching that speech, seeing how she looked with the glasses on and all that shit, it's clear that's what this is. And if it's not, she's going to be pushed to do it anyway, because she has to save us. And I don't know what to say about that. And I'll talk about if we start going that way, then I'm going to start breaking her down and say why that she's not the right thing to do. I'm not saying she's a good or bad person, okay, but there are she had all this power, and she knew about shit that was going on in Hollywood. She talked to Feldman back when he was talking about it years ago. She knows about shit that's going on, and she didn't do anything about it. She never had men on there that were abused by females. None of this stuff that comes up, it's always men are the problem and women are the victim. And she plays this thing that she believes in female responsibility, but last night she didn't really do that. She basically blamed all men that women had no agency, when they clearly have an agency. When you walk in there, if he says, I want to do this, and you say, fuck that, I'm leaving, because people did it. Several people did this shit. So I look at those people as not heroines, because they didn't really report it per se. But back to the last sweet stream last night, very well-spoken people. I like JF the most, I guess, but Sticks, he has the ability that He's a libertarian, and then he's like, you know what? I really don't care if you're an ethno state, but I don't want to hurt anybody to get there. And it's all this kumbaya bullshit that when you're on the alt-right and you're trying to say, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And unfortunately, although JF kind of helped a little bit, but I can't even, his name is Autonius Hypothesis, whatever. He couldn't really get it out. And it's hard for anybody who's in the alt-right that talks about the end state, how are we going to get there? And people always want to put some caveats on it. Well, we're not going to get there, and I can't move people, and you're going to kill millions of people. And no, that's not actually what he said. He said we're going to have Wyoming or Idaho, and we're going to start people being put 12,000 or 12% of the people out going there, and it may get bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point, those states will be 99 or 95% white, and it'll be an ethno, it'll be quote unquote an ethno state. But there are very interesting rebuttals to this, saying that, you know, we could have this thing and we still have different tribal differences between people who are more Germanic or Irish or Italian who fall under the white ethno state, but they'll still want to be in their own areas. And that is 100% true. Now, there are ways to look at that differently, because the United States isn't really like that anymore, but it still is. You still go to parts of New York that is dominated by Jewish people or Italians or Irish, and in Chicago it's the same way. It's not as much as it used to be, but they've all assimilated to the Western civilization, the idea of constitutional and all that stuff. So I've said many times on my channel that I don't think that an ethno state will ever happen in this country, because first of all, we don't have the balls to do it. We're not going to deport in the entire state or United States. We're not going to deport 300 or 440 million people. It's just not going to happen. So I think that what I can't say his name. His name is Ryan. So and I'll put his stuff below so you know who I'm talking about. He's talking about start with like houses or states that are already 95% black or white anyway, but or doing stuff in the northwest, east or west, Montana, Wyoming, guys that are states that are not inhabited as much, and then you just put white people there. It's kind of hard to do that because a lot of shit is coming from everywhere else. It would be hard to feed all the white people, but. So he's talking about this from a small segregated area, and then Sticks is talking about the entire United States, that you could never just get rid of that, and if you did that, you'd have like some sort of civil war. Now, there have been figureheads in the alt-right that said that they think that's coming. I'm not saying a race war, because you're going to still have a huge amount of white people that are going to be on the side of people of color. If it comes to that, they'll do it because maybe at the very, 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 very end, they might actually go to their own tribe, but they've been taught that that's the wrong way to go, that you don't want to preserve your culture or your race. So United States, I don't know what's actually going to happen. All you can actually do, and I think that Sticks talks about it, and pretty much everybody on the alt-right said the same thing. And really, the ethno state in the United States, it is a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, unless we have a segregated states. If you had like Northwest being quote unquote white, and the South being black, and the Hispanics had the southwest areas, and then the other areas might be free reign, multiculturalism, let's say, and then you have little treaties between each areas. Whatever. So I don't think it's going to happen. Certainly not in my lifetime. So, but the interesting thing with Sticks and all that, these are the same libertarians that basically doesn't care about borders, and they don't care about drugs, and they don't care about anything else. I don't really care if you do it. I mean, basically said it 100 times. It's like, well, you can't really do it because it won't be nice to everybody, and people will die. But if you had some way to do it, I'd be okay about it. You have no. You have no foundation or set of rules, and all these people that were talking last night are libertarians, and it's just different levels of libertarianism. And everybody talks about that libertarian is a good ideology. I think it's all bullshit. And you see a lot of guys who were liberals, who were libertarians, are now on the right side, like David Rubin. Some of the guys who've gone to the alt-right. They realize that libertarian has no way to get to a structure to what we need. And I think that Richard Spencer was libertarian. He was with Rand Paul and all that shit, or his dad years ago. Even him, he takes it to a different level. You know, he talks about authoritarian states and stuff like that. So anyway, I mean, all this is just ideology, and it's great that Andy Warsky, which I never really liked, allowed this to happen, and he keeps his mouth out of it and let these guys talk, and they're clearly much smarter than he is. I don't understand why he is as popular as he is. He can't. I mean, I had a stroke, and I can't talk really well, as you can tell, but he talks like me. So, but anyway, I mean, good on him. I mean, he's got, obviously somebody likes him, and at least he has connections, and he doesn't care that this debate goes on his channel. So I thought when you compare what it was with Sargon and Spencer, and how that became a clusterfuck, and then watch how respectful it was last night, that's what we need to have. And at the end of the day, and I think Ryan actually talked about this, about there needs to be an awareness about white issues. And if we have that, and I believe this, that you have to celebrate the family. And if you celebrate the family in the media and stuff like that, you're going to have more and more white people coupling and have babies, and will stand the flow of this. Again, I don't necessarily care if Americans breed, and you're here legally. I have no issue with that. But we have to be 100% honest about what's going on in the United States. That there is a drag on the economy, and it comes from a lot is from the black communities, especially their own welfare, single mothers, that type of thing. And that when I talk about family values, I'm talking about their community as well. I mean, they're allowed this to happen, and it's destroyed their community, and it impacts everybody in the United States. Their crime statistics are out there for everybody to see. And they can turn around and say it's because economically and the white man has put them down, but they can't together as a family unit stay together. That's on them, and that needs to change. In the U.S., in the Hispanic community, it's a little different thing. They just breed out of everything. So that's why they're past blacks, and they're going to end up passing whites if the trends keep going. But they have this same thing that people don't, in the United States, like, we have no culture, we have no history, we don't have anything like that. And then we talk about Americanism, like the black guys are like, yeah, I'm American, I'm American. And the white people, okay, I could get behind that. There's a lot of people in the Hispanic community that still looks at Mexico as their homeland. So that's where they're going to think about that they basically want Mexico to move up, and they can have all their people come up because that's what they want to do, and that's natural. It's just like the Jews want Israel to be their homeland. So it's interesting. The United States is a little different than Europe, let's say, but at the same time, it was a country that was founded with white people. Yes, we killed a lot of Indians, but our laws and our Constitution and our founding documents talk about it was supposed to be a white country. We changed it. That's on us. We allowed people to come to this country, and we didn't really stop that. And now these people, almost all of them, will vote on the liberal side, the left side, for big government. And still, the most people that pay taxes are people who look like me. And at some point, you're going to have this nexus where they hit each other, and something's going to happen. I don't know what level, whether it's going to be a civil war or something like that. But if you can't change the destiny of demographics in this country through celebrating families and making sure that it's important to be married and to support each other, and the state needs to get out of marriage business and allow people make their own choices when it comes to this, and have babies and celebrate your culture of your European descent or the white culture. if we just fall down this multicultural Brazil model, the United States is going to be like Brazil. We might have nicer shit, we might have better cars or better technology, but it's going to be Brazil because people instinctively will try to raise up their own, and people don't want to hear this. When Hispanics become the majority, there's going to be hell to pay. The whites will still have a lot of power, and they'll have it for a long time. But they'll have to compromise when it comes to this in order to get votes and that type of thing. And you're going to see Brazil in the United States. And if that's what you want, that's fine. But Brazil is not a good place to live. It just isn't. All right, that's all I have to say. I know I ramble for a long time, 25 minutes. I'm going to keep looking at this stuff about Oprah. I think there's something here. And we need to, early on, to call her out, have a defense against her because, I've seen it before. I saw the rise of Trump. There's no reason to believe that she will not galvanize 5 or 6 more million of votes that she'll take parts of the states that Trump won. She could win Florida. It could be very bad. Even though the economy may look great, everything will look great on the ground. He might be the first president that has done all this stuff economically. He might lose because people want to be virtuous about it. And the problem is, it seems, again, this might be racist, but I don't think it is. There are studies that show this about Swedish people. I'll just take it more broadly. I think white people are the most virtuous of all all races. And we get ourselves in a lot of shit for it. And it might be, the quote-unquote bad things we did 30, 100 years ago or 300 years ago that we've instilled it so much in our kids and stuff that it continues on, that now we have this thing about us that we have to right the wrongs of our ancestors. We need to right the wrongs. We should right what we've done right, and we should save who we are, our culture, and our race. And that's all I had to say. You guys have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.